do it live.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. I'm in control.
No. Maybe I lied.
You know you asked for this, right?
How did I get...
All right, everybody, welcome to the Cinematic Lounge. How are you guys doing? Chris?
Doing well. It's good to be back.
Maria?
Doing well.
Yeah, so we're going to do a special version. We all saw, and I saw it twice in one weekend, Strange Darling.
Yes.
New film. I'll get the IMDb because I don't even know the director's name. On the J.T. Mollner, I think.
I think so.
And he only had one other film besides this one. He did a Western. But that's a film we're going to talk about. But before we do, what was that?
That was Siri.
Oh, hello, Siri. Yes.
Siri has
I hate when
decided
she
to
does
join
that.
the lounge.
As always, Maria's going to bring a drink to the table, to the Cinematic Lounge.
Yes.
And this film, okay, first, what's the drink you brought?
So the drink is the Tequila Sunrise.
Okay.
And the reason why I chose it was a couple of reasons. First, the movie takes place over the course of one day. So
Yes,
the
it does.
it starts at night and it starts the next day. So there's a sunrise. But also, although the movie is set in current times, it actually has a huge 70s feel to it. She's driving
Definitely.
a 76 Pinto. You know, the heyday of serial killers is the 70s. So Tequila Sunrise was like one of the most popular drinks in the 70s. So
And
two
it's a good movie,
reasons.
too.
And it tastes
Not
great.
really,
Yes.
but it was great. And so let's first of all, show it. Camera up there. You know the
Kind
camera?
of lost. Well, it's kind of lost its
A little luster, a little luster.
sunrise
What's the ingredients
aspect
for
of it.
this baby
So
that you
it's
created?
got grenadine, tequila, and orange juice.
Oh. How's it taste to you
layered.
two?
It tastes
Tastes
fantastic.
good, but we stirred it like you layer it, but we stirred it to kind of
Mix it all up?
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
I'm only going to drink a beer like always, but
Cheers.
you guys do whatever you want. All right. Before we get started, we're going to spoil this film because we cannot talk about this film
without
spoiling it.
No, it's very accurate.
Yes. So it came out 2023. Strange Darling, it's called.
Came out in 2023.
Yep. According to IMDb, 2023. So it was out for a little bit, but it didn't get any play, which is surprising.
So then they put it back in theaters?
Yes.
Because we all saw it in
I don't know if it
theater.
ever came out in 2023. It might have played in some festivals. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, the other thing we're due. My daughter Bella was going to be on the show through the magic of
The internet.
the internet, but we couldn't pull it off. So we have a side interview. I have a side interview with her. So at some point during this, we're going to cut away to that. Who
Bella's
knows
gonna
when
join
it's going to
us.
happen? It's going to organically happen.
It's going to work.
So we go
Organically
organically come in, organically come out. May not be
Gotcha.
organic, but we'll do our best. All right. So 2023,
Uh-huh.
starring Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner, Barbara Hershey, Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Giovanni Ribisi is a producer and cinematographer, which is crazy.
Which is the one thing I really noticed when I was watching the credits. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? It's one of those things. I get it. He's been an actor probably 20, 25 years, legitimately.
Yeah.
And he's probably like, hey, I want to do something different.
Well,
he
he
didn't
did.
just want to a lot of actors become directors,
Yeah.
or try.
Yeah.
But you don't see that many guys go into cinematography, which is kind of cool.
No. Okay. So we'll talk about that because that is, I talked about that with Bella for sure because she had no idea. First of all, she had no idea who Giovanni Ribisi was or Barbara Hershey or Ed Begley Jr. She had a slight Ed Begley. She kind of,
Really?
yeah,
Ed
I don't know
Begley
if that's
Jr.,
from
yeah?
Ghostbusters. He was in the female Ghostbusters, that version, 2016.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of stuff, so she might have recognized him. But
He's in anything. Like if we got 10 grand together, he'd be on this show.
Really?
Easy. Oh gosh,
Would he
he's-
ride his bike here because he couldn't get from California to here? for sure.
Exactly. Well, he'd
'Cause he's
beam
a
in through
big-
the internet.
He's
I'm
you
sure.
know he's a big on the old
yeah.
no
we-
gas. Yeah,
Exactly. He's got like an oil car that runs on
and
canola oil or
he's
something.
legitimately in it.
No, I mean I'm serious.
He's
I'm
committed.
not bagging the guy. I'm just saying.
All right, so Maria and I. Oh, so it's okay. The two leads are Willa Fitzgerald and this Kyle Gallner, who, honestly, I've seen, never heard about.
Yeah.
And the only reason I found out about this film and Kyle Gallner was through Red Letter Media, and they raved about the film, and they had done before the film like a 3-film special about this guy Kyle Gallner.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Remember that movie with Paul Rudd and Elizabeth Banks back in the day? The summer camp or something. I forget what it was. Summer. They were played. Takes place in a summer camp, and all these like.
Are you sure that's not Jennifer Aniston?
Nope. It's you know it once we get off this, we'll all figure out what it was. Paul Rudd was in it. Elizabeth Banks. Who's the woman? Okay. Anyway, he was a kid actor in that film. That was like his first film. Okay. And that was 1980 something. So he's been in films forever. I've never heard about the guy until
Wow.
these guys did it. And so he's the lead. She's the lead. She was from, Maria and I watched Fall of the House of Usher.
I have
That's where
not
we-
seen that. I've heard it's good.
It's really on Netflix. She's one of the leads in that.
Okay.
And does a great job in that. And I thought she did a fantastic job in this.
Shit.
So, Chris, why don't you give the plot of the film, and then we'll get into all the spoiler details, because that's the only way to talk about it.
Yeah, so the plot of the film, and I'm also going to touch base on the structure of this movie, is that it is a serial killer movie. At first, we're not sure if it's a serial killer movie, but it's told in a non-linear fashion. So we know, like, it jumps from
There's 6 acts.
6 acts total.
Chapters.
Correct, yes.
You're right.
And so it jumps from like chapter 5 to chapter 2 to chapter 3. And so obviously it's kind of hiding something. And it's taking you from a sequence, which is like a chase sequence, where a guy is chasing a woman and he is doing coke and he is shooting at her from his truck and she is running for her life.
And he shoots the windows out of her Pinto.
Yes,
Right.
she's driving
Her
an
red
old
Pinto.
Pinto.
Which why he didn't shoot the gas tank is beyond me.
Exactly.
No, you don't. You just bump into the gas.
Yeah,
I
tank.
know,
I think
but
you just
we
hit
all know
the
about
rear
Pinto.
left
Again, when I
bumper
said
or
to
something
Bella,
like that.
Pinto, haha. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Not a clue.
So anyway, so basically the story is chopped up, and what it is doing essentially is, and this is where we're going to get into spoilers because you kind of have to right away, is it tries to hide the fact that we are meant to believe in the first, say, 2 chapters that they show us that he is the guy that's after her because he is shooting at her, he's chasing at her. What we realize relatively soon, maybe halfway through the movie /
Or
a
less than
little
half.
a little
Just
of the
earlier,
way,
yeah.
maybe third of the way
Yeah.
through the film, that we realize that she is actually the serial killer. And so what has actually happened is she went through this whole thing. There's this kind of protracted weird kind of bondage thing that goes on between the two of them.
Well, they have a.
And
It's set up as a one night. They
one-night
needed a
stand.
bar.
They
They're gonna
needed
have
a bar.
one-night
They go
stand,
out,
and
yeah.
she's into.
Autoerotic.
Autoerotic.
Yes,
choking.
thank you.
Choking.
Yes. And just but also just kind of this feeling of like helplessness and everything. But then she says, "Mr. Snuffleupagus," and he
That's the
stops,
safe word.
and that's her safe word.
Let me back up just a second, because you and I went and saw this film.
And I was completely.
You had no idea about the film.
I had no idea what it was about. I
So
didn't know who was in it.
I introduced you to this film the way
Yes.
Red Letter Media introduced me to the film. After seeing it with you, I said, "Oh my God, Maria needs to see this film," because there are themes in this film that, as a female, she talks about all the time.
Sure.
Especially with her. She's got her Substack now where she's talking about dating, online dating over 50. And the one thing that Maria always said to me was, when you date online, it's easy for men
Sure.
because you can date anybody you want. As a woman, you always think at some point you're going to get killed. Potentially.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that line is actually said in this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
She says you online date with a side of murder or something like that.
Yeah, well, the whole thing about that is that men, the worst that's going to happen to a man is that he's going to get embarrassed because he's going to get turned down.
Right.
The worst that's going to happen to a woman is she's going to get killed.
Right.
Or harmed.
Right.
So this
Right.
movie played up that idea in order to get you to believe that it was the man who was going to be doing
Well,
it.
okay, let's get into that right now because
I'm
I
going to say
felt
one little
Go ahead,
side
go
note
ahead.
real quick.
Yeah.
Going way back, speaking of the 70s and the 70s vibe, Diane Keaton, Richard Gere looking for Mr.
yeah,
Goodbar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
there's no internet there,
Right.
but still, the point being is that it's
At any moment.
probably
Yeah.
magnified in the world of the internet and internet dating.
Yeah.
But it's obviously, I mean, that has been a fear, I'm sure, since the beginning of
Yeah.
dating.
Yeah.
You know,
So the movie starts with a scroll that explains that this film is about the end of a serial killer getting captured.
right?
That spree happened in the Midwest in 2018, 2019. They don't mention in the scroll male or female.
Correct.
Okay. They just say serial killer.
They don't even give the name, quote unquote, of the serial
Don't
killer.
even give the name. Now, that's my first cheat because the way this movie plays out is she's a famous serial killer called the Electric Lady, I think.
Yep.
You would think that the scroll would go, because when you talk about Ted Bundy, you talk about the Strangler, the L.A. Strangler. What was him? The Hillside
Night Stalker.
Strangler.
Mhm.
Night
And the
Stalker.
Night Stalker. Yeah.
They all have names. They know who they were. Well, they didn't give that to us.
right.
And then the movie cuts to her running and him chasing her. And the first thing you see is they freeze frame. She's called Lady. Okay, obviously, now in hindsight, Lady Electric or Electric Lady. And he's listed as Demon.
Yes.
So it immediately puts you in the thing that he's chasing her. So
Correct.
that's cheat number one
Yeah.
that they've done. I'm sorry, cheat number two. Cheat number one was the scroll because they don't mention Electric Lady or gender.
Sure.
Cheat number two is Lady and Demon listed.
Right.
So you immediately assume that it's him.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what they're trying to do there is they obviously they can't call it the Electric Lady because then you know it's her.
Well,
but
right,
but
right.
I guess my point is what they're trying to do is they're trying to play on the idea that it's always a male serial killer and that it's
playing
always
on our perception,
our preconceived notions.
right,
Yeah.
preconceived notions.
And things like that, especially when she goes through that whole thing in the front of his truck where they're just talking and she's talking
Right.
about ending up dead.
Yeah.
And are you a serial killer and all this kind of stuff. It's obviously setting that up.
Well,
And
they
then
also showed scenes before that scene even happened of him strangling somebody.
yeah,
They
that's
they
true.
cut they showed him. Okay, so they're showing that. First time I saw it, didn't even know that was the same woman that was from the I thought it was a different woman
Right.
that they were showing that he was going to murder to show that he's a serial killer.
Right.
So I'm immediately in. Right. So I just felt like in hindsight, there were cheats in there to throw us off and to play into our perception that the serial killer is always going to be a dude.
Well, I mean,
right?
I think that was the idea.
Of
though.
course.
I mean, and so it's like, yes, they kind of retroactively go back when she starts doing her entire spiel about seeing people as demons and
Right.
devils, right?
Right.
And she kind of sees them that way sometimes in her mind's eye or her perception.
Well, that's how she decides who she's going to kill.
right.
Right.
And it's funny too. Like we talked about this a little bit. There are some things that happen, and I don't know if we want to jump this far ahead at this point, but like, I'm not going to sit here and say that she had some kind of extrasensory perception, but there's some definite moments that are hinted at that like maybe this guy wasn't a very good, I mean, he was a policeman, but maybe he wasn't a great person either.
No, he wasn't. He was an addict. He was a recovering addict.
mhm.
So he has this marriage where they
cheating
have
on
an
his-
agreement that the wife knows he's cheating, but he cheats. He's obviously gotten his addiction has obviously gotten him in trouble because when he makes
Right.
the phone call, he's like, "I'm really in it deep now this time," and so no, he's not like who she picked wasn't like a perfect person, but you're still and that's part of the shock when you see that he is a police officer though when she opens
Right,
up
yeah.
the thing and you're like, oh god, he's a police officer and he's we already know he's cheating on his wife, we already know that he's down for some S&M and some
Right.
bondage and dominance.
He
stuff
wasn't really
happening.
down for it. He was hesitant the whole time.
He
He got into it eventually because
Yeah.
you're going to get You're gonna have sex with somebody,
he's
so you
thinking-
do whatever. That she played on that.
She
and
did.
she wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean,
so go on.
I guess my thing is that when, and I thought it was subtle, but I liked it. When the other female officer comes in, when the two officers come in, and there's
You think that was subtle?
well, I mean, it wasn't subtle, but like I got the feeling that she knew something about him. He's a fellow officer. He's dead.
No, I
got the
completely
feeling
disagree.
See, I got the feeling that she had
Okay,
stories
we got to talk about that
him.
scene. Talk about that
Okay.
scene. Okay, so the structure of the movie was fantastic. The fact that they flip chapters around.
Yeah, that was really good.
So you
I
see
liked
something
it.
happen. So there's a scene in chapter 2,
Right.
where you see Ed Begley. Oh, by the way, Mountain People, Barbara Hershey, Ed Begley Jr.
Perfect.
I mean, how
Yeah.
fucking great
Okay.
was that? I mean,
And Barbara Hershey's still fantastic.
that's what I'm saying. And when I was talking to Bella about it, and you'll hear about it when we show it, she has no idea who those guys are. And I'm like, Bella, we cheered when we saw them in the film. And then that whole breakfast scene,
The breakfast.
which she'll talk about,
Sunday
she
morning
loved
breakfast.
that thing.
Oh yeah.
That
Such a
scene
kid's
where
breakfast.
he's walking through kitty with the
yeah.
rifle, and you see Ed Begley Jr. on
He's
the floor.
dead.
You immediately assume
He killed him.
that he killed him, right?
Yeah.
So it's playing into that thing, and flipping the chapters around. So you're learning things after the fact that fill in the blanks.
Sure.
Like that scene where he's walking in the backyard and you see all that frozen food stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
it turns
yeah.
out that she threw all that out to hide in the freezer.
Exactly.
Okay. So where was I going with this? So what? What's
So
I don't know.
we were talking about what she ends up killing him, right? By
Ed, the mountain man.
No, she ends up killing
well,
the cop.
trying to kill the cop.
No, she ends up killing him by biting his
In the
jugular.
last scene.
Which-
And
Right.
so
okay,
what
right.
she does
You're
is
right.
she
Okay, so
basically
let's-
pulls her
okay.
own, she makes it seem as if she's been assaulted.
She pulls her pants down,
Right.
lays down there. He's dead on the floor.
Right, and
the
as
two
if-
policemen come in. One's a young female, one's an old grizzled cop.
Grizzled guy.
And
The
they
guy
play.
from the other DEA agent from Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
He's the
he's the bald guy's buddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
I
the
can't- I'm sorry, I
brother-in-law's
can't
buddy.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
forget
can't remember
his name too.
Yeah.
So she comes upon. They come upon the scene. The old grizzled cop knew the guy.
Yeah.
because he called him.
He called him
He also knew
specifically.
he was an addict,
He
so
knows
he
he's
thought
also
something's going on here. The serial killer lady convinces them that. Tries to convince them that he
Convinces
attacked
her.
Convinces her, and that line, that the thing they have, the two of them, about you're doing this because I have a vagina, and
Yes.
you treat me like I'm a, He goes, well, yes, because you were in diapers when I was a cop, and he was right,
Yes.
and he still gave into the pressure of her saying she's a victim. She's a victim. It's that
Sure.
whole that Me Too mentality that the woman is always right.
Excuse me.
I'm
The
saying.
Me Too mentality that the woman is always right.
That you always
that
believe
is-
the woman.
See,
That played right at
That's the whole damn problem right there.
No, that's not a
Right
problem.
Then and there is the whole.
Why is that the problem?
Because-
Was that female cop right or wrong?
In that
Was
case,
she right or wrong?
She was wrong.
Right.
But
She got the guy
because
killed.
she was wrong, people don't believe women.
No.
Constantly.
That's
yeah,
not-
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah. You just said it. No, because of Me
I'm
Too,
saying,
the woman's
I'm saying
always
that,
right.
I'm saying they
were
were playing.
wrong
I'm saying
before
that.
Me Too.
I'm saying the movie was playing into the perception of
No, it wasn't.
they flipped it. That woman was wrong. She got her.
Yes,
She got
wrong,
away.
but-
She let her get away, and
It was wrong. She was wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying she was wrong, but I
you're
am
not saying she
also-
was right or wrong.
I am not saying that she wasn't wrong.
Okay.
She was incorrect in her assumption. And she
Right.
jumped to an assumption very quickly.
Right.
I am not saying that. What I am saying is the discounting of the Me Too movement.
I'm not
Like,
discounting.
yes, you are.
Okay,
You just said.
if that came
you
off
said
like that, I wasn't
because
discounting.
Of Me Too, now we always have to believe
That's
a woman.
not- I'm saying-
That's what it sounded like.
No.
And that is not
Okay,
what
that's
it is.
not.
No.
That's, okay.
No.
Okay. Fine, I hear you,
What it
but that's
was
not.
is an inexperienced police officer
Right.
who only evaluated what she saw on site,
Right.
and then because of her personal experiences and probably not being believed multiple times by many men
Okay.
in many different circumstances,
Okay.
went toe to toe with somebody else. And
Okay.
he gave in because he said, you know what, she might be right.
Yeah, but he get. And he was wrong. He died because of that. Mm-hmm. He died because of because of that. And
because
I'm saying
he didn't
that
follow protocol.
she didn't follow protocol. And he ultimately he didn't.
Right.
Ultimately he didn't. You're right. You're right. Okay, so I'm being a little... I brought that
little?
up with Bella. She didn't yell at me like that. Wow. but I'm saying... I
you're a dad.
I am. I just
no,
felt
Bella
like...
would let into him. She would.
She didn't, actually.
But I am going to
My
say this.
daughter,
That's
so
why,
bad.
like, I'm going to throw this out here. That's why I still think that, like, I got the vibe that female officer at least had heard stories about the dead cop, right? Do you know what I'm
not
saying?
at all. She didn't know who she walked in on. No.
No,
I think
you
you're
see-
wrong
No,
about
I
that.
think she walked in, immediately assessed the situation, and jumped
It had
to
nothing
that
to do
one
with that. She had
conclusion.
no idea about
I
that
don't
cop.
think, or
don't
maybe
know.
she, like,
I'm
in
saying she- I
fairness,
don't think-
perhaps
if-
she knew he was a recovering addict.
Yeah.
I don't think she
Perhaps-
believed... No, the guy knew. The partner knew.
Yeah, but my point is, it's a small community. The police are small.
She had no...
commu-
But he wasn't part
Cops
of
are-
that community, I don't think. Was he a cop in that community? I don't know.
Yeah.
he
Good point.
called
Maybe
a
he
guy.
was.
That's
he
why he
knows.
called the guy he knows.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
maybe.
so
I
like,
mean, and word travels fast. Whatever. Maybe,
maybe.
she knew.
because I'm gonna.
I never
made it-
got that vibe.
I'm
that
throwing
she
this
knew.
out here. What's going to happen there in that situation is a policeman. He might be like, let's say he does something poor. You know, he does something bad, incorrect, whatever, under the influence of drugs, right?
Right.
As a policeman and so what can happen a lot of times is that he might be able to keep his job provided he goes through therapy, he
Okay.
goes through a
Right.
12-step program,
Right,
all this
as
kind
well
of
he
stuff.
should.
And that can be kept very, very quiet. But among the police community, especially in basically a very rural area, cops are going to know. Cops are going to know.
But I can't get away from the fact that this person who's playing the serial killer
Sure.
played on the manipulation,
Oh, of
and they
course.
did it to us, the
Right.
moviegoer,
Yeah.
like, oh, help me. I'm a
course.
helpless female.
Yeah, and we
she
thought-
ends up stabbing a woman in the neck who was trying to help her because she
And
was
yet-
ready to call the police. She killed Ed Begley Jr. Because he was going to call the police to
police,
help
yeah.
her. Because you see a female victim and you're like, oh,
Let's call
Right.
the cops.
Right.
I mean, that is
that
what
was
we
my
do.
point. Not that you should.
Well, then
they
don't
shouldn't
bring
believe-
Me Too into it.
Okay, but it does. I think that's what the director was doing.
I don't think it. I think
That talk that they had between the two of them, when she says, "You're doing this because of my vagina,"
yeah.
but that cop came off as the right one. He was right.
Yeah, he was. You keep insisting he was right. Nobody's disagreeing that he wasn't
Okay,
right.
but I wanna get my point across.
He
Did I
was
get it?
right. You know that yes, the white man was right,
He
or
was
the brown
actually-
man was
I think
white.
he might have been a
Right.
Native American.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
yes,
saying, or-
he was right.
The actor
right.
is of
Excuse me.
Latin. descent.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, they can,
He was right.
Right.
All along.
And he got killed for it.
But he also recognizes in himself, somewhere deep down, that he's got a little bit of, male
Maybe,
ego
and
stuff.
that may be why
that's
he
why
gave in.
acquiesced.
I understand.
And
Right.
I'm saying her life experiences, where going through the police academy and everything is not easy for a female.
Sure.
People constantly made her automatically go, like they neither one listened to their common sense. They
True.
immediately jumped to conclusions, and then
True.
he just gave in.
And if the guy hadn't had cocaine in his pocket,
Right, and that
it
just
might have been. It
yeah.
might have.
And if you didn't know he was a recovering
I don't
addict, you'd
think
be like,
anybody
oh.
watching this has any idea what this film's about right now. I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the tech. Like we talked about the structure, the
Right.
way they flipped the structure. Let's talk about the cinematography.
Now the cinematography.
Giovanni
in this-
Ribisi.
Yes.
Wait, I want to talk about something.
Please do.
I want to talk about the fact that I knew she was the serial killer from the sex scene when she couldn't orgasm through the autoerotic.
You knew right
fixation.
then that she was.
Yes, because two reasons. Everybody kept talking about it's a big twist. It's a big twist. We can't tell you anything because there's
Yeah.
a twist. And then a common serial killer issue is they want to have sex, but they can't seal the deal. So as soon as she couldn't seal the deal, and when she kept and then when it kept happening where she couldn't, no matter what she tried, it wasn't
Yeah, but how,
happening.
with all the hints they gave you, like they showed the gun in the back of the truck, they showed him strangling someone at the beginning.
It was her.
I guess I'm just
It
an
was the
idiot.
same.
Yeah.
I knew it was the same person,
No,
though. You didn't know it was the same person.
I didn't-
I
well, the
knew
first
she
time,
had a
no.
wig on, and then that her wig was off.
Yeah.
Because her face is all puffy at the beginning. She didn't look puffy obviously in the car because it was the day before. Yeah. Okay. So you knew in that scene that she was. Did you? When did you know?
I suspected at that point because a little part of me was like, they're obviously trying to hide something from us because of the structure, and the most obvious thing would be to have her be the killer.
Right.
I didn't know anything about, and I'm going to go back to this. I didn't know anything about the twist because, like you said, you literally said, "Hey, let's go see this movie, Strange Darlings." I was like,
Yeah, I
"What the F is this about?" I
had no idea.
I had no idea. But it's like it reminds me of sometimes knowing that there's a twist kind of gives the twist away.
Right.
Right.
But
And
I
that might
didn't
have
tell
been what
you.
was
I
for
didn't
me.
say there was.
No,
right?
I didn't say
Yeah,
that.
he
Like
said he didn't, but I knew there was a twist.
you
I-
probably you
once I
figured
came
it
back,
out.
yes,
You
yes.
figured it out earlier than I did. It took me longer,
Right.
but I was starting to suspect it was her all along. But it's like it reminds me of one of my favorite films, The Usual Suspects. I saw that movie like in DC when it was in like 20 theaters across the nation, like right when it opened, and the twist blew me away. But by the time it opened wide, like everybody kept saying, "There's a twist. There's a twist."
Well, we also mentioned the crying game too.
Right.
Same
So
thing.
people were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that guy's probably the super secret, like he's the mastermind."
Yeah.
Because what else could the twist be, but it becomes more obvious if you know you're looking for something. It's like the first time I saw The Sixth Sense, I didn't know there was a twist. So I was kind of floored when I
Yeah.
found out Bruce Willis was dead. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that before I saw that movie. I don't know why, but I don't know. I guess because I didn't recognize her when they were having the scene at the motel before they go into the motel. I'm talking
Sure.
about in the truck.
With
Yeah.
the blue.
To me, because she wore a different wig. Now the wig,
was-
the only thing that was same were her red boots,
Right.
which we saw her when she's running out Pinto. But I didn't pick up on that.
Right.
And I thought, like I said, what they were showing us is he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
And her, like, I was devastated when I realized, oh my God, he's actually going to murder her.
Yeah, yeah.
And he does that line about slicing her from what he
Yeah.
said.
Oh my gosh,
And
yeah.
then you realize this, and he turns out to be a decent dude, and he's play acting. Just flipped everything around. But I
Yeah.
didn't get that. I didn't get that until I saw her stab Ed. When I saw Ed Begley Jr. with the knife in his chest,
Yeah.
that's when I got it.
Yeah.
So that was long after you had figured it out.
Well, the thing is, though, is like I think you're right. Like in going back to my favorite scene in the whole movie because it's both it's really beautiful, but it's filled with dread. The scene of the two of them in the cab of the truck, with basically being lit by the blue
Oh, it's
neon
beautiful.
sign.
That's what I mean. That's why I want to talk about
It's
the
just
cinematography.
gorgeous, but yet it's such this. It is such a relevant, real conversation that they're having about this, and it's flirty, but yet it's scary because she's talking about ending up dead, but she's still
that's what I mean.
interested in
That's
him.
why I
and-
wanted Maria to see it because she does the
Yeah.
line about the side of murder.
and
when
it's
we're,
like
as
and
females,
it's
as
all
women.
of that. It was so great, and it's like, but you're right. By using that blue light, she doesn't look blonde, and it took me a while to
you
figure out
guys,
she had a wig
You
on.
two
She had a
knew it
wig
was the
on.
same person.
Yeah,
Bella
I mean-
knew it was the same person.
So all ladies look the
I
same to
didn't.
you. Is that the problem?
No, yeah. Every woman looks the same, and me too. Yeah, I got it. Okay, no. I just felt like they were setting us up to show him as the murderer, and
Sure.
I bought right into it. And again, like
Well,
we
they
said,
were.
when we see her at the beginning of the film, she's puffy.
Oh yeah.
She's bruised and puffy.
she's beat
So,
up. I mean, he's
in the
shooting
truck,
at her.
she's she doesn't have any of that affect.
Yeah, she's missing like half her ear.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, she was like when we see her running through that field at the very beginning as a credits roll, essentially. It is you're right. She has obviously been the victim of a crime. What we didn't realize was that she started the crime.
We didn't know. And the fact that they used Lady and Demon. Now, Demon was the one that was driving me crazy, right? It turns out what Bella finally explained to me was he was a demon. She saw him as a demon.
Yeah.
There's that scene in the hotel where she's falling in love with him, and then boom, she gets the demon flash and she pulls back. So he was, in this picture, this movie, the demon.
From her perspective, yeah.
From her perspective. And she is Lady, Electric Lady. So the director kind of did that at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he didn't lie about any of it. But
No.
it sent me down a different path than I was
Well,
expecting.
he definitely wants to make it I mean, if he just called the guy, Deputy Joe.
I thought the demon, when he said demon, it's because he had demons. He was an addict and he's doing
Right.
cocaine and he had demons in his past. Well, it turns out, no. She saw him as an actual demon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
Because she explains later that she actually physically sees people.
Well, everybody
differently.
you saw her kill, she sees that demon
Right.
flash up.
Yeah.
The little quick thing.
Yeah.
And especially the cop at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
He was talking to her, why do you kill everybody? And she was having she let the
Yeah.
lady go because
Right.
obviously she didn't see the demon on her.
Right.
And she's talking to the male cop, having a nice conversation. And then, now she did kill Barbara Hershey.
Yeah.
No demon there.
No.
Ed Begley Jr. and the
lady
lady
she
in the.
She
By the
also
way, was that a
killed-
nursing? I thought that was the hotel, but
That was the hotel lobby.
no. Bella also said to me that was a nursing complex over there. That's why the woman was in. That's why she had all the nursing clothes. The hotel
I
was
thought
over
she
there.
was a maid.
Me too.
I thought because that's
Me
what the
too.
maids wear. Or
That was
the
a nursing
housekeepers wear.
complex because they ran away from the hotel. She runs
okay.
down that long road, and it was a nursing complex or something, right?
I did not pick up on
So
that.
she did kill people that she didn't see the demon on.
Right.
If they said we're going to call the cops.
Well, if she
Right.
thought they were going to get in her way,
That's
Yeah.
right.
then she killed them.
That's right.
because she needed what she needed. Barbara Hershey was going to get in the way. Ed Begley Jr. was calling the cops. He was getting anybody that was going to get in her way. She was going to kill them.
Right.
Yeah,
My favorite scene was when the female cop realized she was the electric lady, and the shaking that actress
she was
pulled
great.
off. I don't know how she did it. She shaked. You could see that. Oh, this is legit. And she let her go, and she left her partner to get murdered, and she just goes, which is just devastating. It's devastating. And how does the movie end? Who wants to? Maria, how did the movie end?
She goes to stab the woman who's taken her in, and
Well,
the woman-
she gets out of the cop car after shooting the
Right.
cop. She flags a car down. It's an older lady, I think Native
Middle-aged.
American. I don't know. Maybe
I-
She looked
maybe
Native
If I had to
American,
guess,
know.
I would say
Yeah.
Native American.
helps her into the car. Now, meanwhile, our serial killer has 2 guns in her.
Oh, sure. She's ready
Yeah.
to.
And if you remember, she looks in the mirror and sees the demon on herself in that scene. So she pulls the gun out, I'm assuming to shoot herself.
See, I didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
No,
When-
no, no,
when
no,
that-
no, no.
I
I
think she
didn't
was-
think she was going to shoot herself, and I did. Wait, I didn't think she saw the demon then.
She
I
did.
thought she went to pull the gun out. The lady got her, shot her first. Then she looked up and saw the demon.
Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because I saw the movie twice in
No,
one
I know.
weekend. Okay. What happens is she gets in that car with her. As the woman's getting in the driver's seat, our lead actress looks in the mirror and sees a demon. And that's when she starts pulling the gun out. And that's when the woman who's driving sees her pull the gun out and just has a
Yeah.
gun of her own and shoots her.
Yeah.
And the last 2 minutes of the film is our actress dying.
Right.
And, it
And
goes
all
from
the
color,
colors
and it
slowly
bleeds the color to
seeping
black
out.
and white.
It's
And you're
so
watching
great.
her. It's beautiful. I
I
mean,
mean-
it's right on the nose. It's so literal.
yeah.
But I mean, it's
worth it.
It was
worth
very cool.
Yeah.
And it, like, speaking of the look of the film, it made a big point of saying this was shot on 35 millimeter,
Yeah.
which is rarer and rarer these days. Not totally. It happens.
but
Plenty of people use film.
That's a little on the
But I guess they were like, but and maybe I'm fooling myself here, but I feel like I can tell the difference when something is shot on film versus
honestly
video.
I'm in the business and I can't sometimes.
All right. I mean, it felt, and maybe it's only because I knew it. Like if I had watched that and hadn't seen that title card,
I don't think I
might have
needed
been like,
that to go, wow, he did a really good job. I mean, his camera work in this film was amazing.
The color was the part that really blew me away.
The stuff they do in the bathroom in the hotel room
Oh gosh, that's another
with
one.
the red light,
Yeah,
the
fantastic.
blue light, and the motel outside.
Just
Right, and it all worked into what they were doing in the film, which is to keep you a little bit off balance.
sure.
Let's talk about one other thing before we go to Bella. And Bella, by the way, didn't care about the 35 millimeter thing. Had no idea Barbara Hershey and Ed Begley Jr. And loved the film.
Good.
We'll see what she rated it, but let's talk about the breakfast scene.
Oh god, so weird.
Now, what Bella I didn't realize this either. That was their normal Sunday breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
I got
Well,
the
Ed
feeling
Begley
that
said that.
Yeah.
He said, "Here's your Sunday breakfast,
Yeah.
dear." It was like this
Yeah.
was like their Sunday routine.
Now, if you watch the film, when you see the film, it is just butter on top of pancakes, on top of sausage, on top of
Whipped cream
and it turns out they're
syrup.
preppers. So you realize that they think that any moment life is over. So let's just eat like we want to eat. I mean,
I got the feeling when he said it's your Sunday breakfast. I always got the vibe, that it's like, hey, this is our cheat day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
probably
that's-
the
well,
rest of the week
okay.
they're eating
Well,
granola
maybe.
bars and
because they said
you
they
know.
were ex hippies, not motorcycle guys, right? They were
Right.
ex hippies.
Yeah, and they were preppers.
Hippies
Right.
and
Yeah.
preppers.
Preppers. So
So I got the vibe that like 6 days a week, or maybe even more like 20 out of 21 meals a week, they're eating very healthy.
maybe they're eating granola.
Yeah.
Veggies, whatnot.
And on Sunday they
And
And
then
did
on
you know
Sunday
that
they go
you know, when
bananas.
that the prepper, the guy doing the prepper radio show, that was Giovanni
gosh.
Ribisi
Me
as
too.
well.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
I
and Jason
totally-
Patrick did the narration for the front, the scroll
Okay.
that happened
Oh,
at the
did he?
beginning. Yeah. All right, let's go to Bella, and we'll find out what her rating was. We're not going to swing over there, and then we'll come back and we'll rate the
Sure.
film ourselves. So
Okay.
let's see what Bella had to say. Well, you know, we're breaking away from the cinematic lounge to interview my daughter, who's up at Pitt, who I think I recommended seeing Strange Darling to you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're my movie person in the house. Max is my horror movie. You're just my general all movies. By the way, how's school going? Good.
Pretty good. 3 weeks
Yeah.
in.
3 weeks in. Got
3
a new
weeks.
haircut. Haircut
New
looks
haircut.
great. Yeah. All right. So Chris and Maria and I have been discussing Strange Darling, and obviously you can't talk about this movie without spoiling the movie, right? So don't worry about that. We've been talking
Okay.
about it. All right. So first impressions. Just give me your general impressions on what you thought of the film. And well, let me ask you. Let me back up a quick. Did you know any of the actors in the film?
No.
So had you seen The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix?
No.
Okay. The woman Willa Fitzgerald, who played the lead,
Okay.
she played the sister in that movie and that series, and she was great. I found her fantastic in this. And Kyle Gallner, you've never seen either.
He looked familiar, but I looked at his
He's been in a ton
list. Okay.
since he's been a kid. I mean, he's been acting for a long time. Started as a child, and he's doing this now. All this stuff. And he was also in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which wasn't a great remake, I guess, but he was in that one. And I'm sure you didn't recognize the Mountain People, Barbara Hershey,
No,
and
but
Ed Begley Jr.
I heard that they're very famous.
They are very
I think I've
famous.
definitely seen, what's his name?
Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah.
Yes, when we saw them in the film, you're like,
I've
"Whoa,
heard.
this is great." Barbara
Yeah.
Hershey's, she's fantastic. She's been in a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
She also looked
been
kind of
acting
familiar.
a long time. All right, so give me your impressions of the film.
I thought it was really fun. I felt like it was short and fast paced, which is something I like in a movie. And I thought visually it was really appealing. And yeah, I just generally thought it was like a fun thriller-esque movie.
Yeah. All right. So visually, were you impressed with the shot on 35 right at the beginning of the film?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And the cinematographer, I don't know if you know this, is an actor named Giovanni Ribisi. He's actually a famous actor. And he produced this and he did the cinematography. So the fact that you called that out is pretty good. I mean, I have to say, he did a great job.
It was very pretty. Yeah.
So the twists and turns.
Yeah.
So let me explain what I did. So I saw it with Chris, who's on the lounge with me now, and loved it so much. And I thought the themes of the film had hit on a lot of the things that Maria had been talking about for years with her. You know, she's about to do her dating at 50, her Substack, and how women treat dating, especially in the online market, how women treat dating differently than men do. And the woman in the scene in the car basically says, yes, we always have to assume that there's going to be a side of murder on this. So I thought she would love it to kind of hit on that thing. But how did you feel about, first of all, the twists and turns? How soon did you figure out what the twist was?
Honestly, not very soon at all. Like even when they were in the hotel, even once she started like poisoning him with Coke, I almost thought that she was like this, like a personal, like a private investigator almost, but like on her own accord. Like she was after this guy who was a killer and she was going to get him back. Like that was my initial thinking.
Interesting.
But then I was like, oh no, she's chasing him. She's hunting him, basically.
Well, did that scene, I can't remember. Did that scene take place before she kills Ed Begley Jr., the mountain man, in his kitchen with the phone?
No, that was a very early scene.
Which one? Her poisoning
Ed
him?
Begley.
Yeah, so I mean, at
Wow.
that point, you didn't think she was the killer at that point? when she stabbed him in the kitchen. Remember?
Yeah, she
Getting the
did. Wait, I'm
Percocet.
trying to remember how that scene went.
Yeah. Did you? Oh, let me ask you this too. Did you like the everything out of order? The fact that they started
Yeah.
with Act
Okay, wait,
Three.
I remember. When I saw him dead on the floor, I thought he got in the house and shot him.
Of course, that's what you're supposed to
Yeah.
think.
So I
Yeah.
didn't catch that she hit him.
Okay. Well, no, because that comes after. So that's scene
Yeah.
4, right? So scene
Yeah.
3 was him walking through the house, kitty, 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 kitty,
Yeah.
kitty, kitty, right? And you see him dead on the floor. So you immediately assume. Now let me. I mentioned this in the cinematic lounge, or I'm about to when I start go back with them. I thought the movie cheated. Okay. So if you remember, the film starts with that role at the beginning that explains about a serial killer in the
Yeah.
Midwest, right? They don't say male or female serial killer. They just say
Yeah.
serial killer. Then when we cut to the movie, we're introduced to the two main characters. She's referenced as what? What do they put? They call her Lady, right?
Yeah, the lady.
What's his?
The devil.
No, the demon.
The demon.
Demon. All right. So immediately they're setting you up that you're supposed to think he's the murderer.
Yeah.
The serial killer. Of course, that's what you're supposed to think because as people, we immediately assume serial killers are men. You know, there's a couple out there. What's her name from Florida? You know, they're out there, but you don't think that. Now I got twisted because I thought the woman when they had the scenes in the truck outside the hotel, I thought that was a different woman.
Oh, really?
I didn't get because she was wearing the wig.
Yeah.
The boots were the same, but I didn't pick that up till the second viewing. That I should have picked it up with the boots because I thought what they were setting up was they're going to show us that this guy's the killer. He's going to
Yeah.
murder this woman in the hotel,
Yeah.
and she had these fears about being murdered, and it's happening. And this
Yeah.
poor woman. So I got turned around because I thought that was a different person until she kills the mountain man in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And obviously, at that point, it's over. You know what's going
Yeah.
on. What did you feel? How did you feel about suddenly she's the serial killer, and she finds out he's actually a policeman, or
Yeah.
sheriff, or something.
I don't know. I thought it was exciting. I mean, it wasn't like a complete surprise because it builds up to it pretty
Yeah,
for a while. So
there's
it's not
they
like this
they
like, oh my God moment. But I
Right.
thought it was exciting because initially I thought, I mean, I didn't look at anything going into it. So when it starts, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a crazy like cat and mouse chase, and she's going to be the one that got away.
right.
And then you slowly start to realize that she's the one, and it's about to flip, and like she almost has him, and then he kind of like he gets back at her, and it does flip into a cat and mouse chase where
Right.
he's chasing her.
I mean, again, the cheat at the beginning, it drove me crazy. The crawl at the beginning, because if she's such a famous serial killer, she's the electric
Yeah.
lady, right? That's what she carves in his chest.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who the electric lady is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was the scroll written to be confusing because they never mentioned the electric lady, this famous serial killer, or there was just
Yeah.
because the whole point of that scroll was this is what happened at the end of this serial killer's
Yeah.
life. So they knew that this is the electric lady, but the movie's not letting us in on that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they call him the demon, immediately we're going, okay, he's chasing her, he's the bad guy, and he's
Yeah.
kitty, 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 kitty. You know, it's like, okay, they set it up beautifully.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this question: how did you feel about the breakfast that the mountain man?
Oh my
made for us?
gosh, that was one of my favorite scenes. That was the most disturbing scene probably.
That was very disturbing. I think I've heard some take on that was that they're preppers, right? So they assume
Yeah.
that the world is going to end at any minute. So why not eat like that with all that
But
butter?
I think that they only do that on Sundays, is what it was implied.
Oh, really?
They were like, "Oh, we're having our Sunday. We're in the middle of our Sunday breakfast."
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have to admit that the second viewing of this was way better for me than the first, because when you know the twist, it happens with me like Saltburn. I did the same thing. When I watched it the first time, great, I watched it through. When you watch it the second time and you know all the things that are going to happen, now everything takes on. And again, the filmmakers were playing with us. They made it look like those close-ups of him choking her at the very beginning. They made it look like that he's the guy. All right. I have to ask you about the scene where the two policemen come in at the end, and they find her.
Yeah.
And that the female policeman, you
Yeah.
assume that the dudes are going to be the jerks in these
Yeah.
films, and the serial killer would do everything she could not to kill the women. She would always let them get away unless she saw the demon flash,
Yeah.
which is what predicated her killing people. She had this feeling that she had to kill everybody that was a demon. But what did you feel about that interaction between the veteran cop and the female
Yeah.
while it was happening? Forget what they end up finding out.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
while it was happening,
I was
but
trying to think about like what would I do in that situation? I literally don't know which person I would try to be. I mean, because it's hard. I mean, she looked distraught and she looked like a victim, like she made herself look like a victim. That's hard not to believe.
right.
And I guess everyone wants to be like, oh, I would never let that happen or whatever. I don't know, but
You
it's
always
tricky.
believe. Well, it's interesting. It's the whole this whole always believe the women,
Mhm.
always, right? Which a lot of people use against that. What happened when, oh, I forget what was the thing called, the women, what
Me
is it?
too.
Me Too. I'm sorry, the Me Too movement, right?
Yeah.
So that was a play on that, where this female cop, younger than the guy,
Hmm.
the senior cop, who was friends with the guy dead on the floor.
Yeah.
And it turns out he was right. He was like, no,
Yeah.
we shouldn't do this. And she goes, well, are you saying this because I have a vagina? And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm saying this because I was doing this when you were in diapers. And he still didn't listen to her. And
Yeah.
then that scene happens in the car where they realize that that's her. And the actress, the shaking that she did when she figured out it was the electric lady, her
Hmm.
actual nerves, the way she was shaking was pretty good. I mean, everybody in
Yeah.
this film, I
They were
thought, did a nice
great.
job. Yeah.
And she was the star Willa was great in it. I felt like her facials were like
Powerhouse.
so interesting and
Powerhouse.
yeah.
And he was too. I got a big, a
Yeah.
deep appreciation for this guy. Now, I watched this podcast called Red Letter Media, and
Mhm.
they love this guy.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the guys was a stand-in for him at the making of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. So they have this little
Mm.
weird connection. But they did a whole series on this guy's acting, and like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was powerful, and she just, leapt off the screen. And that whole scene in the cab, the whole scene of them flirting in the cab
Yeah.
was amazing. So,
Yeah.
did you see it alone, or did you see it with
I saw
Cesare?
it
Who
with
said?
Cesare
Yeah,
and he didn't like it as much.
he said to me he
Um,
thought it'd be more supernatural. Right? He wanted
yeah,
more
he watched
supernatural.
the trailer
Yeah,
and he thought it was going to be like a supernatural horror movie. Didn't love what it ended up being.
yeah,
And I think I can't remember. I haven't seen the trailer, so I can't remember if he said they like gave away the twist or like I don't know.
yeah. When
But
I
he
heard
did
about
love
this
it.
film, again, I heard it through these guys, Red Letter Media. I didn't want to see any trailers. I didn't want to see
Yeah.
anything. I went in completely raw, and loved it. And I've been telling everybody that they got to go see this in the
Yeah.
theater if they can, because the cinematography is, forget that it's shot on 35. I mean, that's okay, whatever. But the angles and the lighting that he did, the lighting in the hotel room
Yeah.
and outside that hotel room, bathing her in the red and all that, just amazing.
Yeah.
So okay, so 21, you're 21, right? You're almost 22 pretty soon.
22.
And you're 22 now?
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I'm so old. I didn't, why did I think you were still 20? Okay, whatever. But the mountain people, you didn't know who they were. You kind of have
No, not
vague,
until after. I mean, they looked mildly familiar,
right.
but yeah, I didn't know until
I don't know
after.
I don't know what he's been in the female Ghostbusters.
Hmm.
He had a bit part in that one.
What was she in? Has she been in any other like horror types?
Yeah, well, early on she was in one called The Entity, where some weird poltergeist was attacking her. She's been around for a long time. She was in the
Yeah.
70s, and she falling down with Michael Douglas. Yeah, I don't know what she's done recently, but
Hmm.
it was fun to see them pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
It's just like people my age were like, "Whoa, this is awesome! That's great!"
Yeah.
And then they were both
They were really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you would we do a scale of 1 to 5 in our
Mm.
little cinematic lounge. What would you give this?
Ooh, I'd say at least a 4. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Why is
fun.
it not a 5? That's what I have to ask.
I didn't, okay, I don't think the opening cut of like, this is based on a true story, I don't think that's necessary. I think they could have left that out
Yeah,
and
that
just
was
like,
narrated by Jason Patrick. I don't know if you know him.
hmm,
He was in Speed
not by
too.
name.
Yeah. He did the VO, and actually Giovanni Ribisi. You know that scene where she comes up on the mountain, people's house, and you hear that radio playing, that
Yeah.
radio broadcast? That was Giovanni Ribisi doing that,
Oh,
and that was a prepper. That was a doomsday recording.
I
Somebody
see.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
And how about like the scene where he goes in the backyard and all that frozen food is in the back?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know if you ever seen Pulp Fiction.
Mm-mm.
Okay, but it's the same idea where scenes are played out of position. They're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this had 6 acts, I believe, and we started with Act 3 or Act 2.
Yeah.
So you see something in Act 3 or Act 2 that then finishes out in another act, or you see something before it happens or after it happens. Like
Yeah.
you said, Ed Begley Jr. on the floor. You immediately assume that guy came in and shot him. And it turns out, no, once they show that act, flip it around, no, she actually knifed him because he was going to call the police.
Yeah.
Even though they were trying to help her. And her
Yeah.
whole line about, I just need some help. Everybody assumes that the victim.
Yeah. Even when she kills people, she kept doing this like, I didn't want to do this to you. Like,
Well, again, she will kill people where she sees the demon flash,
right.
right? Or she'll kill them if they're in the way. So she
Yeah.
tries, especially if they're women, she tries to, get them out of the way. But that one woman in the motel, not the woman who gave her the Pinto, which is funny
Yeah.
too, that red Pinto,
Yeah.
but the other woman who was running the thing and said, call the police, call the police. Well, she had to get her out of the way, and that's why she probably didn't see the demon on her. And then she sees the demon on that cop who was
Yeah.
right and should have. It's just,
I thought at the very end when the lady who picks her up shoots her
oh.
and she has her hand like hovering down here for like a minute straight, I really
That's the
was
scene that everybody, where she dies.
worried she was
And the
gonna
color
pull out her
gets
gun.
desaturated. You watch it get
Yeah.
desaturated till she actually dies. Yeah, that's what's amazing. That sudden, just, the woman with the gun. Now she's
Yeah.
dead. She's gone. Did you catch her seeing the demon in the in the guy that she picked up in the hotel?
No, okay, I'm trying to remember what I thought when she when she like
Pulled
got
back.
really scared.
Pulled back. Yeah.
I think I might have thought that she realized he was a murderer, like he was the murderer,
Oh, really?
like the famous murderer.
Yeah.
That-
Well, what's interesting is she was falling for the guy. That's
Yeah.
the whole. She was actually falling in love with him, and then she sees the demon, and now she realizes she has to kill him. And
yeah.
like I said, I saw it twice in the same weekend, and loved it.
Oh, I didn't. I thought. Okay.
So she's
'Cause
staring
I
at
kept
him
thinking it was premeditated.
to kill him.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't
that's-
realize. Yeah. That makes more
Yeah, if you
sense.
watch it again, that reaction she has when she pulls away is shock and like, oh no,
Yeah.
now I got to kill this guy, and that's why
Yeah.
she got him with not fentanyl, it was
Ketamine, I think.
ketamine.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. The scene starts at the beginning where he's chasing her down the highway. I love the film. So yeah, I'm
I
about
actually
to.
didn't really like the opening scene when it first started because I was just like, oh, she's dressed in all red in this red car. I was like, this is corny and like, I don't know, it's trying too hard. But then the way they built it all up of like, they get her in these, she was just wearing red boots and then she runs into this hospital and they're wearing red scrubs or whatever.
It wasn't a
This
hospital. It
nurse
was a
happens to
hotel.
have this like really nice red car. I liked how that ended up
The
building
Pinto.
up.
Well,
I think it worked.
yeah, that wasn't a hospital. That was a hotel.
Well, I thought she ran out of the hotel into some sort of
Well,
like
into the
nursing.
that was the no. I don't think that
She
was.
ran like across the parking
Oh,
lot
maybe you're right. Maybe
into
I'm
some
wrong.
establishment.
You're right. I think you're right. She was a nurse. The woman who
Yeah.
gave her the scrubs was a nurse.
Yeah.
I thought that was the hotel, and she was just someone that cleaned the rooms. But I think you're right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. See, that's what I mean. This film had so many layers of just. That's why when you watch it the second time, it changes how you look at her when she actually runs in the woods the first time.
Yeah.
And she finds that little area and she starts smoking the cigarettes and
Yeah.
taking the alcohol. It changes everything.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's a fun watch. It's one of those films that's fun to watch after you know the twist because you're in
It
on
also
it.
seems like, I mean, they seem to be implying that the officer has some history too. Like,
Well, that the
used to
demon.
be
I
a
think
coke
I think that
addict,
may be
or
where
I
the
don't
demon.
know.
That's where I think they're going to justify calling him the demon at the beginning is because he had demons. Obviously,
Well,
that
I was
cop-
just thinking they were, by the end, I thought they were just calling him the demon because like that's how she saw him. Like he was the
Oh,
demon.
maybe it may be. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. There you go. You did that again. I didn't even think of that that she actually saw the demon on him.
Yeah.
I thought it was because they were implying that he had demons, which is why that cop was surprised when he heard he had cocaine in his pocket.
I mean, I
Because
think that's true as well.
he even implied that he was on the wagon, and I'm going to get off the wagon doing this, but this is worth doing. So, yeah, fascinating. All right, when I go back to the Cinematic Lounge, I'm rating this a 5.
Nice.
I loved it that much, and I'm telling everybody that can go see it, they need to go see it.
Yeah,
So,
I told some friends to go see it and to not watch anything beforehand.
yeah. Anything you're looking at to go? Do you want to see Beetlejuice?
To go
Beetlejuice?
see? I want to see the new Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's what I've. Yeah. How about
Yeah.
Blink Twice? Have you seen anything for that?
Ooh, I haven't seen that. Did
Yeah.
you see it?
No, I want
Is
to.
it out yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We were gonna go to the
I'm
drive-in the other
interested.
night to see Beetlejuice, but
Yeah.
it was playing second after the purple crayon, something in the purple.
Oh, yeah,
crayon.
I saw.
That's a kid's film. I want to sit through that to wait for Beetle. I love the drive-in. We bring our Adirondack chairs. We have a whole thing we do. Little table. It's awesome. But I couldn't sit through that movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, listen, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't take long. You get to relax and go watch the debate. You gonna
Oh, yeah.
relax during the debate?
Very
Is that gonna be relaxing? But thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it. I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're telling all your friends to see it, and I'm glad you come on. Your hair looks great, honey.
Thank you.
So, all right. Thanks for joining the lounge.
No problem.
And
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Okay.
All right, hon. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, Bella gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Maria, what's your rating on this film?
I'm gonna give it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was confusing to me though.
But you figured it out so quick. What was
No,
confusing?
I mean there was more of a confusion. Like I had a lot of trouble with the setting. Because at the very beginning, they were like, hey, this is the, 2019, 2020, whatever. And then, but everything in the setting said 1970s, 1980s. There's a Pinto. It's a souped up Pinto. The way it's shot, it looked like a 70s film to me. It really did.
Yeah.
So I couldn't completely lose myself in the movie because I couldn't figure out where I was. Was I in modern time or was I back in the 70s? Like where was I?
Yeah.
So for that reason, I would give it like a 3.5.
Whoa.
Like
okay.
just dive into that 1970s. Dive in. Oh, 100%. That was the heyday of the serial killers. Have at it, Oz.
Right. Okay, Chris?
I enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. I'm going to go with 3, though. 3 stars.
Wow.
3
Okay.
stars is good.
3 is out of 5?
3 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay, it's average to good.
Okay. Average to good.
Maybe 3.5. My point is this is one of the things with movies like this is it has like zero rewatchability in my opinion.
Really? Okay.
Like
I'm going to talk about that in a second.
I don't think I could rewatch the movie.
Really?
But at the same time, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it didn't really blow me. I enjoyed most was just visually, it was beautiful and it looked really great. As far as the flip flopping of the serial killers, I was like, okay, but I feel like I've seen that before.
When?
Like of the gender, I don't know. I'd have to sit. And think
The only
about
one
it.
I can think of is the one about the campground where the serial killer ends up being a dude. You think
No.
she's a female the whole movie, and at the end she pulls her pants down.
It's the first. I mean, the first Friday the 13th. You think it's Jason the whole time.
well,
It turns out it's
that's
his
not
mom.
a gender. Well, I know, but that's okay.
That's
Okay,
just
And it turns
All
out to
right.
be his mom.
Right.
I mean, not that they're doing that. This was definitely different because this was based on the idea of dating and all of that kind of
I
stuff.
found that. Yeah.
So in that way, it's definitely different. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I didn't feel bad about dropping $12 on it.
I'm going to talk about. You talked about not rewatchable.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I saw it twice in the same weekend.
Sure.
Okay. Same thing I did with Saltburn. When I saw, have you seen Saltburn?
I haven't.
Okay. So I saw Saltburn and saw it a second time, and the rewatch was way better for me because I knew it was going to happen,
okay.
and it showed a lot of things that were going. I felt the same way with this one
Really?
because when I watched it the second time and knowing everything that's going on, now I can concentrate on the clues they were giving us and the way they were shooting things, and I just found it. I just loved it.
Sure.
So I as I told Bella, 5 out of 5.
Wow.
Wow.
And I have been preaching this film to anybody that will listen.
Okay.
I'm going, you got to go see this thing. Now, I'm an easy mark, okay? Because obviously, the first time I saw it, I thought it was a different person. I didn't quite. It took me a while to catch up to what was going on. Once I caught up, I loved the flipping the chapters around, just like they did in Pulp Fiction.
Sure.
Because you see things that happen before they and after they happen. I mean, that was what's so impactful about Pulp Fiction. I felt the same way about this one.
Yeah.
I did feel that they cheated a little bit, like I said, with the scroll and labeling him the demon, which actually he was in her eyes.
Sure.
But it also set us up immediately to let our perceptions drive what's going on in the film. That obviously the male is a serial
Well, that's what
killer.
they
Obviously,
wanted.
of course. So I was easily manipulated
Right.
and
Yeah,
still
but I mean-
love the film.
But
Yeah.
I think even without that, that's only 16% of serial killers are women. All the rest are men.
Right.
So you're automatically predisposed when that scroll goes by and tells you that you're going to see a serial killer. You immediately go to a man.
Right.
Calling him the demon just reinforces
totally reinforced
what
it.
you
Of
already
course it
knew.
did.
But I didn't even notice that because I didn't even read the scroll lady
Oh,
and
wow.
demon.
Wow.
That's why I was confused when you were talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. Interesting. So, all right. Well,
Yeah, no,
okay.
I mean,
there we go.
yeah.
So what's our average? You said 3.5. You said 3.
Three and a
I
half.
said
No,
5.
I said 3.5.
3.5. 3.5. So that's 7. 5 is 12.
Well, I
divided
said
by 3 is
3.
4.
He
I
said,
said 3.
You said 3.
Yeah, so it's
Okay, 3.75. I don't know.
I don't
so
know.
let's round it up to 12.
Math
Well,
is
Bella
hard.
gave it a 4.
So it's a
Okay.
4 is the average.
Okay, 4
4
is
is an
the
average.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay.
All right, that's good.
So, should we go to questions?
I'd
We'll
love
try
it.
it. We'll try it. We might spin and repeat, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get one that we haven't done yet. Neither you can hear it. Right?
No, we can't hear it at all.
Say it.
I don't think Chris has
Wow.
answered this.
No,
one.
I have
so.
not
You
answered.
No.
and I have.
We
So
have.
we'll let Chris answer. This is first movie you remember watching.
This is really tough. I have a
It
vague.
could be on television or
Okay. I mean, go as far as going to the movies. I have a vague recollection of seeing. I think it was maybe The Cat from Outer Space.
Was that a Disney?
Yeah, it's
those
like one of those
like the
Disney
Herbie
live,
and the
yeah,
Love Bug kind of
like
ones?
Escape from Mitch Mountain, like
Yeah.
those 70s Disney
was
movies.
Kurt Russell in that one?
No, I don't think so.
He was the sneakers that wore
Don Knotts,
the
maybe.
He was
computer
the
that wore
kid that wore
tennis
sneakers.
shoes.
Computer
Yeah.
that wore tennis
Right.
shoes.
Yeah.
Because I'm I think that may be one of the first movies. I mean, I'm also going to say this. I know that even though I was very young, I know that I saw Star Wars in the theater before seeing Empire Strikes Back. So that would have had to have been the late 70s.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I also saw The Black Stallion, too.
But which was the first one?
I don't know.
You don't remember when you were like 6 or 7?
I don't remember when I was like 5.
Okay.
And it's funny because, like, looking back, I always felt like I didn't see a lot of movies as a kid. But, like, when I start going through all of the movies I actually saw in the theaters, I was like,
Do you remember the first one you saw in a movie theater?
it was one of those 3. It was probably either The Cat from Outer Space.
Is that an actual?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's one of those Disney ones.
Really? I've
yeah.
never heard of
Disney
that
used
one.
to
The
pump-
Cat from Outer Space.
Yeah, or Escape from Witch Mountain, Return to Witch
Okay,
Mountain.
okay, I've
one
heard of that
those.
one, but not the Cat from Outer Space.
I vaguely remember a Winnebago flying upside down, and there's like a cat with like a.
the
it had
Cat
a-
from Outer Space.
It had a necklace that
1978.
lit up.
There
It
you
had
go,
like
yeah.
it had like a collar that lit up.
Ken Berry. Ken Berry was an F Troop.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Disney
Sandy Duncan,
Disney was pumping out those super cheap kid
Yeah.
movies.
Harry Morgan,
They
Roddy
probably
McDowell,
only showed on Saturdays.
McLean
and
Steven.
Sundays.
You got all a mash
Well,
in this
then
one.
we used to have matinees. Like when
Yeah,
I was
like a
little,
true
that's
matinee.
when I saw Phantom Toll Booth, which is my
Wow,
first
look
one
at
I
all these
remember
people.
watching. It was they had matinees during the day. My brothers would take me, and we went and saw Phantom
Yeah.
Toll Booth. They brought me home, and then in the evening, they played like the grown-up movies, like
Exactly.
the PG-13s
Yeah.
or whatever, and the Rs.
Yeah.
But there were matinees during the day.
3
and they were always
scientists
Disney
help an
or-
alien feline stranded on Earth to repair its damaged spacecraft in order to return home, but their efforts are hampered by inept army officials. It's E.T. Steven Spielberg stole
E.T.
this movie.
Well, he did it better.
He did a little better.
He did it better.
He did a little better.
better.
A little better.
I mean, E.T. did look like one of those shaved cats, right? Those weird
Yeah,
shaved
yeah,
cats.
he did. Really.
It's true.
All right. Mine was Oliver. a
Oh,
movie
yes,
theater,
yes,
and
yes.
I forget what your first
Phantom Toll Booth.
Phantom Toll Booth.
So
They made a movie of that?
Yeah, it's an animated one. And
Okay.
it scared the living bejesus out of me.
Well, it's funny. I brought this up recently to my wife because my daughter is scared of a lot of like scary images
Yeah.
and stuff. She gets nightmares and whatnot. And I told her, I was like, Jim Henson said it's good for kids to be scared sometimes, right? Yeah. Like when Jim Henson, like he was a big believer that like you shouldn't, even though he's mostly known for the Muppets and kids
Yeah.
stuff, he was a big believer in, you shouldn't like teach your kids that everything's going to be safe and okay. They should have a healthy dose of fear about the world.
nice. Oh my god.
Hence, if you watch the Dark Crystal with like a
Yeah.
child of 7, they'll get a healthy dose of fear.
That's
That's a
amazing.
freaky film.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or something, that's paraphrasing it.
Yeah. Okay. But the essence is there.
Yes.
Kids need to be scared.
Doesn't hurt them.
All right. I don't know.
mean-
What's the next film we want to see together? This was we
I
didn't see
always-
it together, but
I know we didn't see it together, but I'm up for anything, me.
yeah. Yeah.
Like
So,
I enjoy I had a great time with Maxine, and this one was good too.
we just saw Pearl.
Yeah, we finally saw Pearl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's on. That's
Shit, I
streaming.
left your team. Still,
No, I don't care. That's fine.
know.
I
You know
have
where
you
it
seen
is.
Pearl?
I have not.
Okay. My rating is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's X, Maxine, Pearl.
Okay.
Like everybody's raving about Pearl. I didn't have the same.
same reaction.
I love her. She would have been great in this film too if she were the lead in this one. Although this woman was
She did a great
amazing.
job.
She,
She
amazing.
was
did a
pretty
great job.
terrific.
Yeah,
yeah.
she did a
And
good
she,
job.
she did a hell of a job.
I
And
think
so
it-
did he. He
yeah.
was like,
He
I'm
was
now-
really good,
I'm
yeah.
a big fan of his now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like, plus he does have that weird mustache that kind of gives you serial killer
Yeah.
vibes.
Well,
you know?
that's what I mean. They played
Slash
into
cop
They
vibes.
played into right.
Yeah, I
right.
know.
So it's,
Like it's so funny because when she looks at it and she sees the badge, you're like, oh, that's where that mustache is from.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
a
That was a
mustache.
that was a good reveal though.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It's
So,
like there are a lot of great little like big reveals. Obviously, her being the killer. Small reveals. Holy shit, he's a cop.
yeah, and the Pinto, right? You see the Pinto at the beginning.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then her reaction when she says it's a Pinto, it's like she rolls her eyes
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit. There's a lot of cool stuff in this film.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's do this again.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.